Sometimes when we examine our internal life, we imagine that, you have this God that we should grow close to, and then we have this sin that we should be fleeing, right? That we should be running away from. That image works. That's a fine image, okay? But sometimes it's good to think of us by turning to God as fighting that sin, not running away from it, but fighting it, as beating it back by turning to God. And what does it mean to turn to God? It seems like the Jews in John's Gospel for today, which is Friday, the 5th week of Lent, in John's Gospel, we see that the Jews have picked up rocks to stone Jesus. And he says, I've done nothing but good things. And they all say, yeah, but you have blasphemed, right? Because you are a man and you are making yourself God. Okay, there's a distinction between God and us. God is the creator. We are the created, right? We are creatures. God is the creator. That distinction will always, some kind of way, remain. We will never be the same in essence with the Father in the way that the Trinity is, right? On the other hand, we are called to become more and more and more like God. There's just no doubt about it. We are called to become more and more like God. God humbled himself to become one of us so that we could participate in the life of Jesus in a way that is a lot like the way that God the Son is in God the Father. This comes up all over the place, but especially in a most beautiful way throughout John's Gospel. Here's what I think you should do. If you're having trouble grasping this concept, that it's not just a list of sins to avoid and a list of good things to do, and somehow that would be what we're called to do. If you really are struggling with in what way we could become more like God, develop a devotion to the Sacred Heart. I really believe that is the root of the Catholic understanding of deification, divinization, theosis, whatever you want to call it, that the root of all that is found in the Catholic Church, especially in the West, in devotion to the Sacred Heart, where Christ comes along with that fiery heart that he has, crowned in thorns, wounded, but he wants to exchange that heart with yours. He wants to take your heart out and put his inside of you instead. Once you know yourself to be moved by God internally, like your engine is God himself dwelling inside of you, if that's real, if that's really true, then you can turn and fight you can turn and fight evil because you know exactly on whose behalf you are acting. You know exactly who it is that is motivating you. You know who it is that you can call your Father now, rightfully so. That is really the truth of what we are called to do. There are a lot of rules that we're supposed to follow. There are a lot of sins we're supposed to avoid. There's a lot of love that's supposed to happen. But don't ever for even a second believe that that's all going to happen somehow apart from God or even motivated by something other than God himself, turning you into his Son, real and true. And so we beg God today, especially for that grace, to know ourselves called that way to exchange our hearts with his. Amen.